ZZZ, or as I like to call it, is Zoink Scoobs, that's a lot of Z's, versus WuWa Woo. Which one should you play? This video is going to focus more on the practical real-life aspects such as the following: how much time to complete the quests and general exploration, the daily grind of the game, the rewards the game gives you in certain events, and the skill ceiling or combat mechanics. The two questions I want to ask you are, how much time do you want to spend in the game, and how much of a sweaty tryhard you want to be? So quest completion and exploration. Wuthering Waves is going to have more exploration, of course, because well, it's open world, and will also have quests take longer to accomplish because you will be running around in an open world. You see where I'm going with this. If you have played Genshin, which I think it's safe to assume at this point that you have, then exploration is similar to that. Completing some quests can also affect the mechanics of an area and how it looks like, which can fire off the reward chemicals in your brain saying that you did a good job. ZZZ's exploration can be separated into two parts: the exploration in the actual in-game world and the exploration during a dive into the TV. ZZZ's world is much smaller but is way more condensed in terms of details, so it is a lot of eye candy for people who like small details. Like, look at this car. It looks like you can drive this car, and also looks like it's going to be a pain to drive because of how lowered it is. You just go around, talk to people, get the quests, or sometimes the quest is just going around talking to people, and you complete it just like that. In the TV world, you run around and collect all the loot on screen, which is not hard at all. You should get these in your first playthrough if you are paying attention enough. The daily grind. ZZZ only takes around 5 minutes along with spending all of your resin or stamina or sanity or Scooby Snack. That's not. You just open the DVD store, which only old people would know about. Do your daily gambling, which is surprisingly not the gacha, but to scratch off tickets. Eat ramen, which is not the healthiest food option for daily nutrition, and drink coffee served by a robot constantly moaning for some reason. You spend your stamina in the HIA, and assuming that you spend 100 stamina for each mission, because you can kinda fiddle with the stamina cost, then it should only take you 3 plays to complete everything. Each task also flows really well into each other, which helps a lot. Wuthering Waves is going to take slightly longer, around 7 to 10 minutes, or a fuck ton if you decide to grind echoes in the open world or against boss fights, in which case it's actually going to take about, yes, amount of minutes. I personally complete it by spending my stamina first because some quests can actually get completed by doing that and just cleaning up the remainder. The rewards. I'm just going off of the already existing games of Kuro Games and Hoyoverse so we can kinda get the gist of things. Kuro Games have Punishing Grey Ravens, and that game is fairly generous in events such as anniversaries where they give you an SSR selector, a limited character selector by the way. In WuWa, we don't have anything like that. Not sure if they're going to be a Chad and give us similar treatments, but they did give us a shit ton of free pulls, which spawned my favorite meme in the gacha sphere, which is Genshin could never. Oh wait, no, that was Honkai Star Rail actually. ZZZ, depending if they're going to follow the footsteps of our lovely Honkai Impact 3rd, never forget what they took from us, or Honkai Star Rail that just straight up hooked us up with a limited character that is actually fucking good, then ZZZ does show some promise in terms of the reward department. If it instead follows Genshin, I don't know about that. Have a 1 million Zimbabwe dollars for 1 million registered users. The skill ceiling / combat mechanics. Short disclaimer, I am not at all the best in either of these games, but I think I know enough to talk about it. This does not show the top level of both games because simply skill issue. People have been disappointed with ZZZ because of its spam mouse 1 to win gameplay, but for me the combat's fine. Not as good as WuWa, but fine. ZZZ's combat is more simple compared to WuWa because you are only managing 2 resources or sometimes 3 depending on the character. You are managing your energy for each character, how much decibel you have, and who to use it on, and some characters will have stacks like Ellen or a buff to their skill like Coletta. During combat, you are keeping an eye on the stun bar and yellow parries. Other than that, you just autopilot and dodge or perfect assist as necessary. This makes Zenless combat pretty satisfying for me as you pull off flashy moves while not being technical for your casual players, which can be a good thing. There's also an active switching mechanic so you can switch characters while they are doing an animation, which can boost your overall DPS. I just call it active switching, I don't know if it's actually called like that. Some dude called that negative edging in WuWa, which is no. Yeah, let me just negative edge my culture. No, stop. No, I don't feel safe. No, don't feel safe. You cannot switch back though, which I will discuss in the WuWa part. This is an example of this game's combat using my Cunning Hairs team, or Cunning Hairs, which is a Blue Archives player's main diet. Wuthering waves. Okay, so WuWa is a lot more complex. You have 5 resources for every character. You have your Resonance Liberation, you have your Resonance cooldown, your Echo skills cooldown, this thing and that thing. I forgot what it's called. This is applied to every character, and you have to fight a boss throwing enemy attacks while doing so. The rotations can also change depending if you have the thingy full because of auto skills. So some auto skills boost ultimate damage, so you don't want to switch to your support because that would be a waste, for example. You can also parry using normal attacks and during switching, and the window is not as easy in Zenless. As mentioned before, you can also active switch in this game, but you can also do a switch back. When a character has a lot of active frames on the field, you can use that move, switch to a character, and switch back to that character. Encore is the one that comes to mind that has a very switchback or active switching playstyle. Again, this is how I personally call it, because small brain understand less word better. This is an example of WuWa's combat using a switch-heavy Yinlin Encore team. So basically, which game should you play? For people who want to have longer playing sessions, a more complicated toolset to work with in combat, and an open world, well, of course you play WuWa. For short burst, a more casual style of gameplay, good fucking music in my opinion, and a more linear style of gameplay in terms of exploration, then ZZZ could be the game for you. Nothing is stopping you from playing both, however, as they are free to play and the only thing you would be spending on them is your storage space and your time. Or actual money if you want to, I guess. Or you can just play other gacha games like Nikkei or Tenkafuma. You don't have to look up the second one. Don't look up the second one actually.